Happy Venus Day, everybody. Welcome to this love energy reading for Friday, December 2nd. So as always, this particular reading is separated into two segments. The first segment is for those of you who are married or in established relationships. And the second segment is for those of you who are single. So all the timestamps are going to be found in the description box and the comment thread down below for easy access. And don't forget that if you are a member on my website, janeinternational.com, then you can log in and check out the extended readings I do for each zodiac sign. Okay? All right, I'll see you in just a sec. All right, segment one. So this is for you who are married or in established relationships. So here are our three piles. Now go ahead and take a moment, feel your way through these. We have all aura quartz today. We're using a pink, a green, and an orange aura quartz. So if you want to pause the video, you can to kind of intuitively feel your way through this. Now, not everyone always feels emotionally or spiritually connected. That's perfectly fine. You can always just randomly select a pile and chances are there will be a message that will be useful in there for you somewhere. All right, so same as before, timestamps down below. See you in just a sec. All right, pile number one, you selected the pink aura quartz. So I've got two cards here. The top is going to be yours and this is going to be your person's. Okay. Well, you seem to be coming from a really solid place. To me, a 9 of coins is a suggestion that things are going okay for you and you're safe, you're secure, and maybe work is going well and you're just overall feeling good. There doesn't seem to be a lot of emotional stuff. Now, I know we do have Neptune stationing direct tomorrow. We do have a full moon building up on December 7th, which is going to be conjunct Mars. So while there are a lot of more emotional things happening astrologically, you are seeming to be doing okay. Nine of Coins seems secure, confident and feeling empowered in a lot of ways. But also, I think your partner is feeling a similar way. I think with Justice, there is a quality of being aware not only of themselves, but also of you, so there's an equality there. They may be taking into consideration a lot of things, not only for themselves, but things that may be good for you and things that may be good for both of you as you progress forward in your relationship together. Now, there may be things that have nothing to do with you going on in their life. Like, for example, if they, have this job where they have to deal with legal stuff, maybe service agreements, contracts, signing clients, any of that kind of stuff, it's possible that they may have some of that going on. I'll get more information when I pull out more cards, but with these two cards alone, it does seem to be advantageous for your partner to be doing those kinds of things. So if they are bringing on new people in a contractual way, or if they're obliging themselves to new people, I do think it will work out well for them and it will ultimately be lucrative. But we'll see what the other cards say. I may contradict myself on that. But generally speaking, your partner seems to be in a state of awareness, just really alert in terms of what's going on around them and how their actions and their words impact other people. I think that's a good thing for the health of a relationship when someone is aware like that. And I think you are as well with that 9 of coins. You don't just get to a 9 of coins just because you're kind of winging your way through life. This is not just material abundance, okay? This is an extraordinarily high level of emotional intelligence as well. So you both seem to be operating in that more emotionally intelligent realm. If there are any issues between the two of you, any conflicts that might need to be resolved, this may be a good week to do that. As Mercury comes into Capricorn on December 6th, there is this notion of useful communication, right? Being able to communicate in a really useful and productive way. I kind of feel like these two cards. Okay. So yeah, I definitely see you shining really bright with that sun. I think there's a lot of self-expression. There's a lot of passion coming through for you here. And there also seems to be like a strong and firm boundary. So it's not like everything is going to be easy flowing. Justice often does indicate that something is needing to come into balance. And usually when that's the case, there can be an element of conflict. So I'm not surprised by the notion of conflict here. I do feel you standing up for yourself, defending yourself, being articulate, right? Being able to properly articulate what it is you need. Now, if you are not the most articulate person, I think it's still going to be okay. You're still going to be able to articulate your emotions and what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you need. And not only articulate it to the other person, but also to be able to accurately identify what's going on inside of you, right? So if an emotion comes up, it's not just some messy emotion that just kind of comes out in a blubbery way. It's an emotion that can be understood and processed and therefore articulated. So I do feel like you're coming from a position of strength with that sun. There's not a lot of kind of floundering or anything like that, which is good. Now, this is good for all aspects, for a relationship and any other area of your life that is a point of focus. So you being at work and you dealing with your kids and whatever the case, there is an authoritative quality with that sun. There's kind of a leadership quality as well. And because of the Justice card, I do feel that the partner is more accommodating to this side over here with the sun. So if there is something that you are needing to take the reins on, your partner seems more than happy to accommodate. See what else comes forward for them. Temperance. Okay, now I've kind of turned a corner with the Temperance card. You guys know, for those of you who have been with me for any period of time, you know that time and time again, these cards will speak to me differently. And if you're a seasoned tarot reader yourself, you know how that happens. All of a sudden, these cards sort of change meanings. Now, I know this is a Sagittarius card, okay, Jupiterian qualities and all that, but lately, I've been seeing much more Saturnine elements. Temperance being a means of self-control and discipline and not allowing the emotion, right? Because I'm kind of looking at him with the water, pouring the water from cup to cup, meaning redirecting the emotion in a more useful way or putting it toward more useful things. And because we have the Knight of Cups here, there is a lot of emotion coming forward on your partner's side, but it's a good kind. It's not like I say, it's not a blubbery. I don't see blubberiness for either one of you. I think that's the benefit of Mercury in Capricorn and a full moon conjunct Mars. It's just everything is very direct. It's all honest. Nothing is repressed or pushed down, and nothing is that difficult to access. So I don't know, I do feel a more stoic quality from your partner, but it's like stoic, but also highly optimistic and maybe even a little romantic. Your partner may be wanting more romance. A lot of people have experienced a lot of stagnation in the romance department just simply because we've had Saturn in Aquarius for the past couple of years, which of course opposes Leo. And now that we're kind of feeling that transit waning and we're kind of coming out of it, well, not fully, but we're kind of like near the tail end of it, people are starting to really open up in that way. And your partner seems to be a little bit more amiable. So there may be a lot of romantic attention from your partner toward you, them being more willing to accommodate you. But there's also a lot of self-discipline going on over here as well. So it's not like they're like at the mercy of your whim or anything. They have a lot of autonomy that they're displaying here too. So, this could be just really productive energy in terms of what the two of you are wanting to do together or in terms of how you can support one another. So you can have two completely different ventures going on and two completely different goal sets. And yet, if you support them and they support you, you both get to succeed if that's what you want, which I think probably and most likely it is. So what's really bridging the gap between the two of you? Oh, I like that that's kind of coming in this direction. So yes, they are accommodating, but there is still energy coming through here. So there is a nice reciprocity, really, really, really nice. And it does seem to be a little bit more acts of service oriented if we're talking about love languages, acts of service, or maybe even giving gifts with that page of coins. How can I help? What can I do? Is there anything I can do? Here's this new tool that you can use. Here's this new website I found that might be helpful for you. You know, all that kind of stuff I think your partner would really, really appreciate a lot, especially if it is actually something that they could use. This is obviously not an opportunity to like try, to do something nice under the guise of giving them something that they can't use for the purpose of like creating a fight or something. We're not trying to go that route. So this is legitimate offerings that they can legitimately use, that can legitimately, can I say that one more time, be leveraged into something better and greater and making their lives easier. And if you can do that for them, they are more than willing to do whatever it is that you need on your end as well. So I just really like about this, what I like the most about this reading is just the consideration that you seem to have for one another. And that's a beautiful thing. And if that really is coming forward in your relationship, take advantage of it for sure. Okay? Now, don't forget that if you're a member on my website, please log in because I will be posting the extended readings for the weekly love readings for each zodiac sign will be there. So hopefully I'll see you there. All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Pile number 2, you selected the green aura quartz. So the top card is going to be you. The bottom card is going to be your partner. All right. Well, the Four of Wands definitely offers security and safety, but there's also a more celebratory, jovial aspect as well. There's a lot of happiness and celebration. There's fun. You just may be in a place where you're wanting to do fun things or to have a dinner party or to invite people over, whatever the case may be. There just seems to be a more social element. Now, you may not normally be a social person, so that may be kind of kicking up a notch for you this week. Your partner does seem to be really focused on something, though, with that Emperor. They may have stuff going on at work. They may have stuff going on with their own families, whatever the case may be. And when I say their own families, like maybe their parents or their siblings. Or again, if they have children with another person, there may be something that they have to deal with there. But I think generally speaking, you are providing for them is a really good environment. And if this is not something that you normally do, I think it's going to be really, really it's going to be appreciated regardless. But if it is somewhat novel or different out of the box, it's going to be appreciated just that much more when they come home from work, or when they come home from being in a challenging situation, because there is a battle element with that Emperor. He's got armor on underneath this robe, so there is that component of kind of having to be on guard, having to be both offensive and defensive. They're kind of in the battlefield there, and they're in strategy and planning mode, and they're thinking, and they're very cerebral, and coming home and just having that relaxed aspect, I think, is going to be really, really good for them and good for the relationship too. So let's see what comes through, because it kind of takes them out of this hardened state that they may have to be in when they're out in the world. Okay, we have the Fool and the Seven of Swords. Why do I feel like some of you have something you need to bring up? You have something you need to say, something that needs to be, and I don't think it has anything to do with the relationship. It may be like, hey, partner, I'm thinking of, quitting my job, or hey, I'm thinking of going on a trip, or I feel like there's something that you need to bring up And there's hesitation there with that Seven of Swords. Maybe it's something you don't necessarily want to, you might not want to bring up because you don't want your partner to feel threatened in any way. Hold on, let me see what else comes out for the Emperor. Yeah, see there, that'll be the middle card. There's certainly something that, now I know I said this is the partner, but some people can feel it flip-flopped, and that's perfectly fine. They're clearly dealing with something with this Tower card. Something is falling out of their control. They're maybe losing something, or maybe they're even purposefully destroying something so that a new something can begin. What I'm just really seeing is that they're busy and maybe even preoccupied. They're busy, they're preoccupied, they are, I'm wondering, are they really able to give you what you need emotionally right now? And maybe you're fine. Maybe that's not the case, but for some, maybe it is the case. But I'm looking at this Fool, and it's like, I feel like you're kind of wanting to fly the coop or something. You're wanting to leave. Maybe not permanently, but you're wanting to give yourself an opportunity to grow and to expand, whatever the case is. And because they're dealing with all this, it's almost as though that may not necessarily be what it is they want to hear. But I also don't recommend you putting yourself on hold here either. I know you don't want to contribute to the Tower that's already happening. But I think it will be okay with that Ace of Wands. I think your partner is capable of seeing the gains on the other side of a loss. So if they have to go through a big period of change right now, an Emperor can certainly handle that. King of Coins. Yeah, I don't know that this relationship can really be shaken that much. I know you don't want to abandon your partner. I know you're not trying to just pull the rug out from under them at a time when they really need you. I'm almost kind of like feeling it's like you have something to say, so you're making it as hard as possible for them to get mad or something, or for them to get upset. You're trying to do everything in your power to make sure that they know that everything's okay and that this doesn't have anything to do with any concerns about the relationship. It's just, let's say you do want to quit your job and start freelancing, that will have an impact on the household income-wise. And, again, maybe that's not necessarily what the Emperor wants to hear, but I also know the Emperor wants the best for both of you. And if your happiness requires that you make a change, then they'll deal with it. It may be a financial conversation with that King of Coins in the middle, kind of bridging the gap between the two of you. But ultimately, whatever decisions are being made right now, I do feel an increase. So if there's fear about what will come, hopefully that fear doesn't last that long. The fear, I think, will be quickly squashed. It's kind of like hearing smothered. That's the word I'm really looking for. I was thinking of like a blanket that smothers fires, like a smother blanket. It'll be quickly smothered, and that fear won't really be able to thrive. It'll just be a little bit of fear, shakiness as you're considering the future. But as soon as you start making the big moves, everything is going to be fine. And that Emperor is going to be totally willing and ready to embrace that Ace of Wands. I think he'll think of it as a new challenge and something that he can be victorious over. And I think he'll really appreciate that. So there is something healthy going on. There's a healthy motion and a healthy movement. It just may not be at the right time, or it may not seem that it's coming at the right time, but actually it's like the perfect time. Because if this is happening anyway, you might as well push that Tower over, a little prematurely, or even a little bit more than it already is. And you might as well go all the way with it, I think that's how your Emperor will be able to see it too. But I think it will be a good week. Just you don't need to be afraid. Okay. All right. So this is, if you are a member on my site, please feel free to log in and check out the extended we do for each zodiac sign as well. So that will be posted. And for those of you who aren't a member, that's fine. I will see you next Monday with the weekly bump. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 3, you selected the orange aura quartz. So the top card here is going to represent your energy and the bottom is going to represent your partner's. Okay, so for you, it seems like you're in a process of letting something go, which may be a really emotional experience. With Neptune going direct or stationing direct tomorrow, we have the full moon conjunct Mars, which is building on December 7th. There's just a heightened state of emotion. There's a lot of triggers going on out there. There's a lot of discomfort. There's a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of growth. And with all of that, there also comes a great deal of release. And so this doesn't surprise me that you may be picking up on it's not just a Neptune direct, it's also a full moon. So there's just a lot of heightened emotional stuff. Now your partner, roles may be flip-flopped, okay? But the star really is just so expansive. It has this quality of looking out and beyond. And I think your partner is feeling really optimistic and hopeful about their ventures and what it is they're wanting to do and build. And maybe they're starting to feel like this release of blockages, a place where they've been blocked for a long time. Maybe now it's finally letting loose and they're finally starting to harness and get a handle on stuff, and they're starting to experience growth with something. It may be in idea form right now, or it may actually be happening for them, right? They may actually be en route. Lately I've been seeing the star as like being a compass or a map. And it's like when we're on these journeys and on these paths, these, maps and compasses can be very helpful, but usually we don't use those things. We use them before to plan, but we also use them while we're on the journey too. So maybe there's both going on. Maybe there's an element of planning and strategizing and an aspect of execution going on over here. That may or may not have a lot to do with you. It may be something that they're just doing in their own life. And I know for those of you who are married, there's a lot of intimacy, and what they're doing is really what you're both doing. But for those of you who may be, dating someone, maybe you've been dating someone for a long time, but maybe you don't live together. So there is kind of this element of almost distance with them. It's nothing to take personally. It's just a phase that they need to go through as they're thinking about their future. 8 of Cups, Page of Swords. Now for you, it does feel like you are ready. Ready is the word I would use. You feel ready to make this transition, ready to let something go. Chances are something has been weighing very heavily on your shoulders. And it could be, a pattern that you have as well. It could be a certain circumstance that hasn't really budged at all. Like, let's say financially, maybe you've hit some kind of a roadblock and it seems you have reached that breaking point where you're like, enough. I am done. I am done with this mindset. I am done with these harbored emotions. I am done thinking about the past. Like the Page of Swords really is a beautiful breakthrough kind of energy. I see him very fool-like a fool card, right? Ready to break out, to break free, to run free, and to not be anchored down by all this really heavy stuff. He does seem to be lighthearted and jovial and just really curious and ready to learn and ready to be in a new place. Something has gotten too... have you ever been in one of those old houses where people never open the windows and never let fresh air in and it's all just very musky? I feel like there's an area in your life that's just gotten really musky, and this is you opening the windows on a windy, blustery, almost cool day to let all of that stagnant air out. We have the Star, we have the World. Yeah, I mean, your partner does seem to be going through something pretty substantial. Maybe we could even use the word epic in their life. They're just really doing something. They've really committed to something. They've set sail. And because they've set sail, a new world is opening up for them, and I think they truly are ready to really harness it. Now, this may create a feeling of distance between the two of you. Again, probably more so if you don't live together. If you do live together, of course, you can still feel this. But with the King of Swords, you know, he's really... I don't want to say he's like goal oriented. I mean, he is, but it's never really about the attainment of the goal for the King of Swords. He really does things just for the sake of doing it, because he just wants to try to do it to see if he can do it, you know? And he can find a lot of motivation with that. It's like people who want to climb Mount Everest. That's very King of Swords. It's like, well, what do you really get out of it other than a personal satisfaction that you've done it? And like that, they're like, that's it. That's exactly the only reason. Because the world doesn't benefit from that, right? There's not like a whole huge benefit from people doing something like that. But for whatever reason, their life path has decided that this is a place that they need to go. And they are determined now more than ever to make that happen for themselves. Now, they are going to begin opening a lot of doors for them, right? So financially, new opportunities, new work, new social contacts, a whole bunch of new things. And they're ready to really embrace that. I mean, hopefully they're ready. If you're with someone who's really not doing a lot, it doesn't mean that this energy isn't surfacing. Just depends on whether or not they're afraid to do it. Now, I don't see a lot of fear here, but not everyone can wear the King of Swords shoes. Like, not everyone can sit on this throne here. This, you know, this really does require a lot of detachment, a lot of focus, and in a way it requires a lot of discipline and self-control, which not everyone is truly ready to do that. So if this is brewing inside of a person and they're not doing anything about it, then there's like this gap that continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger between where they are and where they want to be, where their soul wants them to go versus where their ego or their fear wants them to stay. And there can be a growing resentment or a growing unhappiness within them, because this is all really positive, but not everyone is going to embrace it because it's going to require them to do big things. So while they're going through that and you're going through this, your personal intimacy, your intimacy within the relationship is going to be really important. And acting as kind of a container. Yeah, see, there does seem to be something, like I said, there does seem to be a wall. Like, you're going through this and they're going through this, but where does it come together? Where does it connect? Now, people who are married or living with the people, with the partners, this can be especially frustrating, you know, because when there's that energetic and that emotional wall, it can bring up a lot of questions, and it can bring out a lot of insecurity within the relationship on both sides. The goal here is not to put up that guard with each other. You can do this against the world if you need to, although I don't recommend that you do, but it's not always advantageous to do this against each other, because it kind of puts you, I heard an analogy, some video on social media, it was like, you can think of a relationship as playing a game of tennis, right? And on one, you can play single just by yourself, like with a wall, okay? Or you can play singles, which is one-on-one, where you're playing against your partner, or you can play doubles, where the two of you are on one side of the court. This to me feels like a game of singles, where you're over here and they're over here. So the goal is, how do you get onto the same side of the court so you can start playing doubles and start playing you against the world? Again, I don't always like that phrase, but hopefully you guys know what I mean. The world is not your enemy, but you in the world together. It's just that this may be a really private emotional experience, and this may be a real private growth experience, and they may not be the most compatible right now. And if you're in an incompatible emotional state, you are going to have to work extra hard, because like we're not always all on the same cycle. Like, that's the beautiful thing about astrology. And that's certainly something that as an astrologer, I've learned in my own personal relationships. It's like, okay, what dasha are they in? Where is Mars transiting in their sign? Or in their chart? Where is this happening in their chart? Because it's like, when you really start to realize, specifically for me, the dashas, which is a Vedic system, it's kind of like zodiacal releasing with Hellenistic astrology, which has become like a really big thing now. Very similar, although I prefer the dashas. But if you know what dasha you're in and what dasha they're in, you can see like, okay, our dashas are not compatible, but at least there's an endpoint. Okay, if you want to Google that, you can. Just, it's called Vimshottari Dasha Calculator. There's a whole bunch of sites. You just go plug in your details and you'll get this chart, and you can kind of research it from there. But I feel like there's just like this real, like, something is really not jiving right now. Your charts are not fully aligning, but it is temporary, as we see with that world card. It's really temporary. So we can't let it like become bigger than what it needs to be. Communication is going to be so important, even though I'm sensing that neither one of you really wants to bring this up. Neither one of you really wants to like put it out there. But I do think that's something that should be put out there for the sake of, maintaining peace and keeping the line of communication open between the two. Okay? All right, now don't forget that if you're a member, you can log in and see the weekly zodiac readings that I'm posting on the members feed. All right? Thank you so much, you guys. I love you. Have a great week, and I'll see you on Monday for the weekly bump. Take care. Bye-bye. Alrighty, welcome to the second segment. So this is going to be for those of you who are totally single, or if you are dealing with some kind of a hot and cold situation, okay? Now we have 3 piles. Pile 1, we're actually using all aura quartz this week. So we're using orange for pile 1, pink for pile 2, and green for pile 3. So like you've already done, timestamps down below so you can quickly jump from pile to pile. All right, see you in just a sec. All right, pile number 1, you selected the orange aura quartz. So we are going to start with you, which is 9 of cups. And then what's going on out there, we have the star. Okay, now the 9 of cups is just a really solid place to be. There's a lot of confidence that comes through. Now, you may be someone who is naturally very confident and feeling good. Maybe you've had a really good year and things are going well for you. Now, if you're not really feeling that, I think this is just a reminder to kind of tap into that within yourself and to, I'm not telling you to like sit there and do affirmations all day long, but just to kind of look around at your life and who you are and your life experience and everything you've been through, and really take the time to see the value in all of those things, to see the value in who you are becoming and in your talents, your skills, your ideas, all of these wonderful things. Because what's going on in the external world here is there's a lot of opportunity. Now, if you are in a hot and cold situation, and I have felt this for quite some time, so forgive me for continually repeating this, but I'm losing hope in the hot and cold, right? Because someone is real, if you're here watching for a hot and cold relationship, chances are you're probably the one that's wanting something. I mean, that doesn't not necessarily the case, but probably. And so this clearly the other person is not giving you what you truly feel you want in a relationship. So this may be you saying, okay, it's time for me to really explore my options. This isn't good enough. I'm not willing to settle for this. I don't like being treated this way. I don't like being treated as an option or whatever the case. And I'm going to start putting myself out there for something that is so much more meaningful. Now, with both of these cards, there is an element of hope. This is a card of wishes and dreams coming true. So it really is for the sake of the dream, and romantically, like for that romantic dream that you have. And I don't know what fantasy you have. I don't know whether you have a, knight in shining armor comes and sweeps you off your feet, or if you have like the power couple fantasy, or if you have the, living out in the woods in a self-sustainable farm, like whatever the case may be. This is you kind of becoming that embodiment of that very thing that you're hoping for, and aligning yourself more closely for a partner that aligns with that as well. So let's see what comes through. We have the King of Cups. And a lot of cup energy. Well, you're definitely picking up on the Neptune stuff. Now, Neptune goes direct to, or stations direct tomorrow. We also have Mercury coming into Capricorn on the 6th. And with Pluto coming out of Capricorn next year for the first time, moving into Aquarius for the first time, really for the first time in like 248 years, there is that sense that some kind of an era is done and gone in our lives. The era of putting up with certain stuff, the era of confusion, the era of abuse, whatever it is, whatever you've had to deal with personally, the acceptability of those things absolutely is no longer acceptable. And I see that with the King of Cups, of extremely high standards when it comes to how you connect with people. And you not only holding yourself up to the highest standard, but holding others up to high standards as well. And if they don't meet those standards, the King of Cups is 100% not going to waste his time. That is not his vibe. That is not his gig. That is not what he signed up to do. He's not going to be willing to just like let people get away with stuff. Okay. But in the same time, he's not going to be the type of person to let himself get away with stuff either. So in the interest of confidence and self-esteem, there is this element of discipline. Now, we're activating Capricorn this week. We've got Mercury coming in on the 6th. On the 9th, Venus comes in. All right, so that self-discipline theme is absolutely going to come to the forefront of our minds. But for you, for the sake of your relationships and what it is you're hoping to get and hoping to receive, that standard just keeps getting higher, and not in an impossible way, but higher in that the only way that you could get into a healthy relationship, or the only way you could get into a relationship now, is if it's a healthy one, right? Because that's kind of what you're becoming. And the more and more you are something, the more and more you are likely to recognize it in someone else. See, exactly. The discipline, the hard work, the chasing of dreams. And for those in hot and cold relationships, I feel like some kind of a switch is about to flip if it hasn't already. I'll probably keep saying that until next March. It's like situationships, I'm losing so much hope in them just simply because people are they're just over it. They're over allowing other people taking control or demanding control of them. Like, people are just not about it. And a King of Cups does not like it when someone else has dominance over them or who has any kind of authority whatsoever. So looking at this Four of Cups, I do think you're going to start, if you haven't already, or if you're not really out there, I do think you are going to start seeing things come to you. Like I say, if you haven't already, some of you may have already been feeling that. You're going to feel that attraction. You're going to feel people wanting to be a part of what you have. And I think you're going to get a lot of people that you're really not interested in. Okay, especially if you're like on an app or something, or if you're actively dating, or if you're just out being social in general, you're going to come across a lot of people like, oh, my friend, here's a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. And you're just going to really notice. I just want you to take notice of the lack of connection, actually. And the more and more you can pay attention to the and when I say connection, I don't mean the like chemicals, body going crazy, oh my gosh, this person's so cute, big crush. I don't mean like that, right? But like the lack of chemistry and the lack of compatibility, and I want you to take note of the lack, not because I want you to give attention to something that, to create more of it, but because it's helping you to be choosy. It's helping you to be a lot more succinct in what it is that you will and will not allow in your life. And the more succinct and the more clear we can be, the more likely the universe will be to deliver. And I think you're going to have a lot of things being reflected back to you in terms of who you no longer are. It's like the universe is giving you an opportunity to go backwards, and you have to choose to go forwards. And that's why like people that are coming at you right now just really may not be landing. It's just like, oh man, who are these people? I don't have anything in common with them. Spiritually, we're not aligned. Emotionally, financially, career-wise, anyway, like we're just not aligned. Who are all these weird people? Who are all these weird people? It's actually a good sign, because it tells me you're in this transition period where you're transitioning out of the old realm and into a new one that could likely bring you exactly what you're looking for, or someone with whom you truly can commit and build something substantial with. Exactly. See? The Ace of Cups. The universe is paying attention to you. It is looking out for you, regardless of what you may feel. It's doing you a lot of favors. And all you have to do, I'm getting the image of a menu. When you go to a restaurant, you sit down, you have the menu. And there's a whole bunch of things you're like, no, that doesn't taste good. No, I'm not really craving that. No, I'm allergic to this. I can't have that. It's like all these things like, no. And then when you find that menu item that you're like, oh yes, that sounds so good. That's what I want. That's what I'm ordering. It's like the universe has already placed it out there. It's already on the menu. It's just a matter of you getting to that menu item. That's why this is a good sign. A lot of the rejection is a good sign, because it just means you're getting closer and closer to that yes option. Okay? All right, pile one, I'm going to leave you there. Don't forget that if you're a member, log in, check out the Zodiac Weekly love reading that I'm doing for each sign. It'll be posted at the top of the blog. And that's it. All right, thank you all so much. You guys know I love and adore you. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile two, you selected the pink aura quartz. So the top card is you. The second card is the environment. Okay, so a lot of major arcana. Does seem to be like you're keeping to yourself a little bit right now, and that going out and dating may not necessarily be a huge concern. I mean, it seems like you'll gladly accept if the universe brings you something amazing, but I don't necessarily see you going out there trying to make something happen. And that's, of course, perfectly acceptable. Especially if you've gone through something challenging over the past few years. I do know that with Saturn being in Aquarius, because it's been aspecting Leo, that romance, creativity, that passion. It just, I don't know, it just all cooled down. And so people who have been single, it's just kind of, there's been that, I don't know, like maybe, I don't really feel it. I think when Pluto comes into Aquarius, it's going to be a whole different story. But for now, we're still kind of, we're not there yet. So we're still feeling that more tempered approach to love and romance. And in the environment, we have the Judgment. Now, the world may surprise you a little bit. I kind of am hearing that element of surprise with the Judgment. There does seem to be something illuminating happening for you. I'm sure you are in some process of becoming something, right? A process of becoming a business owner, or becoming someone who lands these big clients, or becoming someone wealthy, or whatever the case may be. You're in some process of becoming, and so your whole perspective of the world is starting to shift. And when your perspective of the world shifts, you actually do start to see and value yourself differently. And then the potential partners become different people. Like, you're starting to operate in a different tier, right? A different tier of people, or a different level. And I don't mean that they're better or worse than anybody else. It's just that they're interested in certain things. And that's because you are, because you are becoming this new person. See, there does seem to be an element of finance, okay? King of Coins, you might be really focused on your financials, focused on making something, buying a home, getting that investment portfolio back up to where it was maybe in 2021 before it, crashed when Jupiter came into Pisces, getting your life straight, getting things organized, getting things structured, whatever the case may be. With the Knight of Cups, though, there's definitely still hope. Just because things have cooled down doesn't mean that hope has really gone anywhere. And I like the Knight of Cups. You do seem to be available, if that person does come in, you are available. Your heart is open, your heart is ready, but you're also going to be selective, and chances are you're going to move quite slowly in love. This is just the introductory aspect of you, right? The Knight of Cups is kind of that mystical creature that tends to attract the attention, but then that King of Coins is back there sort of monitoring and doing the choosing. So this is the more flirtatious aspect, whereas this is the aspect of you that has the really high standards. So, you're on the lookout, you're watching, you're observing yourself and observing the way the world interacts with you as well. Okay, so let's see. Now, if you are dealing with some kind of a hot and cold relationship where it's not fully committed, but, it's kind of in and out, I don't really see anything better. I don't see an improvement in that. I do think people who are in that circumstance, they certainly are going to have to be drawing the line and saying, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this. I don't like this. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring fulfillment. It doesn't make me feel emotionally secure. And even though I may really, really, really like this person, and I genuinely do hope that something comes out of it, I also am not just going to sit around and let this person play with me like this, right? Because there does seem to be inconsistency. Those wands are running in the other direction, but then there's kind of an emotional neediness coming through. And it's just really mixed signals. It's oh, please come help me. I'm having a bad day. I'm feeling sad, but then not call you for 6 days, right? So it just seems more extreme and therefore more apparent what it is you need to do there. You either need to I do think a lot of people are going to be calling those situations off, maybe even with an ultimatum of look, You either need to commit to me or I'm leaving. And really, really forcing that other person to live in the consequences of their choices, right? But for those of you who are single, who are not in a hot and cold, I do kind of sense a little inconsistency going on out there, meaning, yes, the Knight of Cups is very open, but it's like what's really coming in. I don't know that this is the week that the love of your life is going to walk in the door, okay? I'm just sensing a lot of, I think that Five of Cups is really bugging me. It's like, ugh. The word that I'm hearing is it's like someone who's going through something emotional but does not have the emotional intelligence to understand it or to deal with it. This is like what happens when people are healing and they don't know what healing is and they don't know what shadow work is. And so they do like this outreach into the world to try to suppress what's going on so they don't have to deal with it. It's kind of what I'm sensing. So maybe keeping to yourself might be better for you. Maybe that would be a better solution for you. The King of Coins is not going to let you make any mistakes, though. Right? That aspect of you. He's not going to let you make mistakes. He's going to be really firm on his standards and really see even the Strength card, you know. I see strong boundaries. You know, I see you being annoyingly firm with people to the point where they're like, you've changed. You're like, yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, I have changed. Thank you for telling me that. That's a good thing. Like, take it as a compliment type of thing, because you're no longer going to be, I don't know. It's not that you should shame the person you were or have been, but you're just simply not that person anymore. That's all. The rules are different. Trying to work with you, you got to play by a new set of rules. Okay? All right. So I'm going to leave you guys with that this week. You guys know I love you. Have a great weekend. If you're a member, please log in. Check out the extended that I do for each zodiac sign so you can get a little bit more detail with everything. And I'll see you on Monday. All right? Take care. Bye-bye. All right, pile number 3, you selected the green aura quartz. So for you, we have the Ace of Coins, and for the environment, we have the 5 of Wands. So I feel like that Ace of Coins is something that's kind of self-generated, meaning it's not really a surprise. When you have your head, your heart, and your physical body all focus in the same direction, wanting the same thing, the Ace of Coins becomes an inevitability, all right? It's the opportunity, it's the money, it's the person, it's whatever that has to inevitably come in to support your alignment. You seem to be focused on gold is what I'm hearing. But yet when you look out, now I'm not saying we're looking out and being like, ew, everyone's so gross. Not what I'm saying. But I do think when you look out there, you do see a lot of chaos. Some of you may have really been struggling with putting yourself out there romantically. Being on the apps, probably not something you're super excited about. You may be, you may not be. Either way, it may not necessarily feel that thrilling to you. This is kind of the attitude of like, you know what, I'm gonna just kind of focus on my own stuff, and when the time feels right, when it shifts, then I'll put myself out there in a more purposeful way. Now, I do know with Saturn coming through Aquarius the past few years, with Aquarius being the opposite of Leo, which is the sign of romance, I think a lot of people have been okay with putting romance on hold. Doesn't mean you still don't want a connection, doesn't mean you don't want love. I think, yes, absolutely, of course we do. We all do. But there has been like this willingness to wait. There's been patience with that. And I think when Saturn leaves, we'll feel really glad and really grateful that we did take the time and we didn't just desperately run and go get into something just because we felt lonely that night, right? Let's see what else comes out for you with that Ace of Coins. 8 of Swords. And I think right now, with Neptune being kind of a point of focus this week, we do have to believe. And there's a big difference between believing and having hope and faith versus us asking ourselves, well, how can I do this and how can I make this happen? One is a lot more control oriented, right? How can I do it means we're almost demanding the perfect plan from ourselves, right? Where Neptune is kind of demanding faith and that more Christ consciousness quality that is all knowing and all accepting and deeply surrendered. Because I think if you sat here and asked yourself, how the heck am I going to get to a 10 of Cups, you would come up empty. But instead, focusing on things that, like you're passionate about, you've got things at work, you've got stuff with your kids, you've got, whatever the case is, you're doing your things, you're living your life, you're aligned, you're passionate, you're fiery. And you say, you know what, universe, I trust you. Because when I look out, this is what I see. And I know there's something much, much, much better than this. I know it's not all so competitive and like, I don't like to always use this word, but I'm getting like the F-boy kind of thing. It's just everyone is temporary. You're like, I don't want a temporary person. I don't want someone who's going to do the hot and cold thing with me. I want someone who's going to see me, value me, respect me in the way that I hope to do for them. Because you don't want to be with someone that you don't respect either. Has to be both ways. So when you look out, this is what you see. So therefore, you don't know how. So you have to just kind of give it up and say, all right, source, take the wheel here. I'm just going to do my thing, and I will trust that out of this, there are some diamonds, right? If you are in a hot and cold thing with someone, chances are they're going to be acting up. They'll probably do the pull away thing. Yeah. I was like, I wasn't feeling very good about that Magician. And then the Devil came up. I wasn't feeling good because this is connected with it. And when this is connected, I kind of hear shenanigans. People out there creating all sorts of shenanigans, all sorts of skullduggery or something, right? I know I'm using like some silly words, but you get just to get my point across, Please do not bang your head against the wall right now. Okay, the astrology is weird. I do think a lot is going to shift in March when we hit Aries season specifically, end of March rather. But I'm sensing impatience. I know you have been patient. Saturn has been forcing us to be patient in the romance department. But again, if you're in a hot and cold thing with someone, I don't know that you're going to have the patience for their nonsense. And that's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it will be. It will be a bunch of nonsense. And you're going to look at it and you're going to look at them and you're going to hear the words and you're going to suss out the energy and you're going to feel your way through this and you're going to be like, this is ridiculous. Some of you really may be drawing the line with a hot and cold partner right now and just being like, no, I absolutely demand more. And if you cannot give it to me, I would rather be alone. Some of you have already done that a long time ago. It's why you're single, because you're like, you've already drawn the line with someone. But the Magician, even though he does give me weird vibes, he is still a beacon of hope nonetheless, because it means that your magic is working. There's just like a wall there between you and the magic. And I think that wall is Saturn, okay, because of the Devil. So when Saturn leaves Aquarius in March, this will sort of disintegrate and it will evolve and it will become something else. And you will see the effects of your magic, of your manifestations. this is a fantastic place to be, Ace of Coins, because when you're in this receptive place, like, please take the money, please take the clients, please take the opportunities, please say yes to things, because when you're in this receptive mode, the universe will see how receptive you are, and it will say, okay, maybe they are ready. Maybe this person truly is ready for this person that you could build something with. I'm not going to say a soulmate or anything, but, you know, someone that you have passion and compatibility with. See, exactly. It's there, it's looming, it's in the field for sure. It's just probably having a really hard time coming in. And some of you may be, you know, mistaking things too. Like someone comes in and they're a great person and whatnot. And I think right now it's really important to just take things at face value. All right, that's super important. Just take things at face value. What you see is what you get. And I wouldn't read more deeply into it. I wouldn't look into their pain. I wouldn't look into their past and find all these reasons for why someone is the way they are. You don't want to be anyone's healer. You don't want to be anyone's trainer. You don't want to be anyone's mother or father, right? You don't want to be in that role. So it is going to be important to have faith that someone will come into your life that simply wants you as a partner. All right, and they're going to show up as a partner. And that is what you've been manifesting, that is what you've been creating, and that is what is available to you once this block finally dissolves. And again, it's still a few months away, but it is coming. There is an end point. Okay? All right, Pile 3, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much. Now, if you are a member, please log in and check out the extendeds that I do for each zodiac sign as well every Friday and Monday, so you can get just a little bit more information. All right, thank you all so much. Take care. Bye-bye.